With the advent of tolerance being a primary value in our society, we find that it has reached its zenith, perhaps, in the announcement by Joe Biden of a transgender woman named Dr. Rachel Levine as a assistant health secretary. I suppose the ultimate goal would be to have a transgender president, but we are not quite there yet. But is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I think that it is time to analyze this. This is the Eye of the Storm, and I am Laser Weiss. I won't lie when I say that this is a topic I had been avoiding talking about. Maybe not like specifically avoiding, but it's definitely something I would have preferred not to deal with, because early in the start of a career that a person is trying to build on social media, is this the type of thing that you want to have in your history? And people automatically define you and put you in a box and on a side by your take on this topic. But A, we cannot be afraid of the truth. That alone defines us, I think. And B, I always intended to make a video about it, just not yet. I really wanted to talk more about ideology, frame of reference, and the perspectives that people have and why they have them. My ideology series, which I sort of put on pause for a while, actually I just finished preparing a new one, which I will be releasing either later today or tomorrow morning. With that having been said, there is some kind of bizarre acceptance. It really is an ideology in its own sense when it comes to transgenderism in this country, and it's so powerful and also so bizarre that people have stopped asking questions. They've started accepting assumptions, and you are sort of forced to take the defensive stance against their assumptions. So, for example, many people, if you say a man cannot become a woman, they won't see it as their need to prove that a man could become a woman. They start off from the position of acceptance. Of course a man can become a woman. You say a man can't become a woman, you have to defend that. People will say things like, science has told us that. Again, you'll say, what science? Where? And as I've had this experience personally many, many times in social media where people will say, what do you mean? Science. Everyone knows science. Meanwhile, they can't name a source to back it up. Or someone will quickly Google it and say, look here, and it'll like harvard.edu/transgenderism, and you'll look, and there's no actual science. It's just a page of opinions, quoting doctors, quoting studies that don't really prove anything to do with transgenderism, just like studies about a topic that is related. There's no actual, like, hard science on transgenderism in the way that people think there is. And yet there's this complete acceptance by so many people in society. It is actually just an ideology. It's a belief they've implanted into their heart that they believe will bring them closer to, an ultimate utopian society. With that having been said, we have to just focus for 1 second. There's so many different ways to approach transgenderism, but I'm going to just specifically take one approach. Why can't we all agree? Let's just focus on something we agree on and analyze it carefully. We all agree that if a person would say, I identify as a dragon, we all agree that would be ridiculous. It's a separate discussion if we should treat that person with respect, if we should publicly mock them, how should we behave towards them. That's a separate discussion. But we all agree that that is not actually a feasible thing. A person cannot actually feel that they are a dragon. Why not? Why can't you feel anything? Well, the answer is because he has no ability to have the perspective of what dragonhood would be, right? He's never experienced anything dragon-like. There's nothing in his mind box, that's not a phrase I coined, I've heard other people use it, that allows him to have dragon-ish or dragon-like feelings. He can't experience those. Now, what he can do is he can have a fantasy that he made up in his head of what a dragon would feel like. He made that up. That's not true, right? And then he can convince himself that he feels those things, which a dragon would feel, and therefore he is a dragon because he's feeling exactly what a dragon would feel, which is based on nothing other than his made-up ideas of what a dragon probably feels like being a dragon. That's not a real thing. He invented that in his own mind, right? Now, of course, we understand that by a dragon. It's obvious because a dragon doesn't really exist, so he can't possibly know. And I'm talking about the mythical creature, not the lizards. He can't possibly know that. But even we wouldn't know that this is true even if it was about something that, let's say, couldn't have feelings. So, for example, if somehow a person would say, I am, in fact, a table, right? Some ridiculously, some person would say, I'm a table. I'm actually a table. Right? We would know that there's something wrong with him. But why? Maybe he's a table. Well, of course he's not a table. Why? Because he has no ability to feel like a table since he has no capability of knowing what a table feels like. Disregard the fact that a table can't have feelings. It's outside of the possibility of him, of his frame of reference, to conceptualize the feelings of tablehood. He doesn't have that. He's not capable of it. So therefore, he cannot say, I am a table. How do I know I'm a table? Because I know how a table feels, and I feel exactly like that. He can't know that. That's outside of his ability to conceptualize. When we say that a person could be transgender, meaning he's a man, he says, I know that I really am a woman, despite the biological parts of me displaying male qualities, I am not actually male because I know that I am a female. Now, what is he really saying? He's really saying, I know exactly what a woman feels like. I know what being like a woman is like. I know what womanhood is. And I know that I am experiencing those things. I have that exact perspective, that exact frame of reference. Those emotional responses that a woman has, like all of those things, womanhood is exactly what I am, except that through some fluke of reality, I happen to have male biological body parts, right? For that to be possible, we would have to acknowledge that this person, it is within their ability, within their frame of reference, to in fact experience womanhood. To conceptualize womanhood, we have to acknowledge, we have to say, this person has the ability to totally and completely understand, conceptualize, and have like an intimate knowledge of womanhood. And therefore they can understand, since they have such a clear knowledge of what womanhood is. Now, how is that possible? So we have to, I always overanalyze everything because you have to have clarity. I've sat and thought about this for hours. This is not something I just I saw a video and I'm going to have a knee-jerk reaction. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Something I've thought about and given a great deal of consideration to. Is this possible? Well, you have to ask yourself the question. What causes women to feel the way they do? And here you have a problem. If womanhood is connected to female biology at all, meaning, let's sort of put it a different way. Let's not use the term woman. Let's use the term reproductively capable human and non-reproductively capable human. Is a reproductively capable human an RCH? Does being an RCH have any impact at all on the modalities, behaviorisms, emotional settings, instinctual reactions that a human being has? Does being an RCH have connection to those things? Or would we say that somehow the idea of womanhood as conceptualized by society has nothing to do with being an RCH? Actually, that is a completely made up societal thing. Completely made up. There is no such thing as woman. There are only RCHs and NRCHs. What we call a woman is absolutely a fictional creation of society. Right? Now, let's forget the question of, well, then why would someone want to be it? That's an interesting question. I think it deserves to be explored, and I'm throwing it out there, and I know that it's mean to throw it out there and tease it. Too bad. Let's ignore that. Let's focus on this idea. First of all, it's very difficult to believe that's true when we find so many of the natural and instinctive behaviors of the female of the human species, of the RCH in my parlance, are paralleled by reproductively capable creatures across the entire spectrum of reality, of all of existence. While you might find unusual exceptions, like a seahorse where the male is the one who cares for the children or whatever, I think maybe gives, I forget, whatever. The point is, those are also species-wide. In general, if you look across species, you will find behaviors that are linked with the biology. Those animals didn't create societies and enforce gender stereotypes. So it's very hard to accept as a belief that it's again to say, well, oh, maybe some behaviors. That's not what a transgender person is claiming. Because a transgender person doesn't say, hey, I want to be treated in some ways as an emotionally complex being who doesn't fully fit into the male box. That is not what a transgender person is claiming. They're claiming, I am a female, I am a woman with all the glory of womanhood. And that is why there is such an urgency. I wish to experience periods. I wish to experience pregnancy. I wish to experience all of these things because I am a total and complete woman, not partially, total and complete. So if we say that any of the behaviors of womanhood are connected to being an RCH, a reproductively capable human, then that perspective becomes impossible. Why? Because you don't have biologically the ability to connect with certain aspects of what make an RCH act and behave in certain ways. You don't possess, you weren't born with the ability to conceptually believe that, right? It's sort of how we all mock and make fun of, and I personally don't, when I say all, I mean society. I think it's just sad. But like people like, let's say, Rachel Dolezal, who is a white woman who said that she is actually black. I identify as a black woman, right? We all said that's ridiculous. It's insulting. It's disgusting, right? Why? Why is it insulting or disgusting? The answer is we all understand. You weren't born black. You didn't grow up black. And therefore, the perspective of blackness, of blackhood, is not within your realm of possible things that you could know how to feel, know how to experience, know how to identify with. All you could do, which is why it's so insulting, is you could make a fantasy in your head of what being black must be like. This, you make a fantasy in your head and say, I am sure, I am so convinced that this is what blackness is like. This is what blackness feels like. And I feel like that thing that I fantasize, that I'm sure that I am in fact black. And that's insulting. You have no right. Blackness is the feeling or the expression or the way black people act. There's black society. Again, I don't know either. But just to understand the insult, we can understand. Because those people say it's a very, very complex thing. It has to do with growing up in black society. It has to do with experiencing black, history as a black person through the lives of black people who came before you and how it impacts you and all these others, culture and all these things, right? I would say the same thing for being a Jew, by the way, right? Exactly. Somebody said, I identify as a Jew, but they had never had any experience being Jewish. And then as an adult, they were like, I identify as a Jew. Did you convert or what? No. I identify as a You can't. That's beyond your ability as a human being to do that. The only way, what you mean is, which is insulting, that you've concocted a fantasy of what a Jew actually is. You believe that you are totally in line with what that fantasy of what a Jew is. And therefore, you identify yourself with your fantasy. Is that not exactly what a transgender person is doing? I'm trying to I can't even understand any other perspective. when a person like Dr. Rachel Levine, who was born a man, says, I am a woman, if you call me a man, you're bigoted, you're misgendering me. What does that mean? Dr. Rachel Levine, and I don't mean the air quotes to be insulting, just practically speaking, doesn't actually have the ability to know what a woman feels like. Unless you say that all the behaviors of womanhood, everything, is all completely disconnected from biological realities. But how can you say that when we see behaviors that parallel across other species, behaviors of reproductively capable creatures? The nurturing, the division of behaviors, even in some animals where the woman is the one who goes out and hunts, like, I don't know, certain species of lion and other animals, I forget. But again, that's species-wide. So there again, you see that behaviors correlate with biological realities. If any behavior correlates with a biological reality, then that means that to someone who doesn't have that biological reality, that behavior, that sense of so what is it exactly that you're trying to say? Are you trying to say, even though I have absolutely no ability to understand the experience of this creature called a reproductively capable human, I am still 100% sure that everything that societally causes them to feel the way they do would apply to me as well? How could you know that? The only thing you could claim is that you don't fit into manhood. You could theoretically claim that. Theoretically, I could even possibly, I would have to think about it, but I could possibly respect such a claim. If somebody would say, listen, I grew up as a male, I know how males feel, I know how they're supposed to feel, and I don't feel that way, and I simply do not fit into the box of maleness. Okay, I am something else. I am a non-gendered person. I am neither male nor female. Biologically, I'm male, but I am simply not emotionally or socially a male. So much so that it causes me great psychological and emotional pain to identify with my malehood. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend. If I thought it through, I would imagine that I would come to the conclusion that you probably need help. Maybe something traumatic happened that's causing you to feel this way. I don't know, but that's not what they're claiming anyway. We don't have to deal with what would I say about this other claim if they were making it, which again, to be honest, I don't think I would respect or accept that either, but that's not even the claim that's being made. So why would I deal with that theoretical? The claim that's being made is that Dr. Rachel Levine is in fact a woman, but that's not actually possible. If somebody could explain this, I would appreciate it. I don't mean this in a mocking way. I don't mean to say, and give a knee-jerk reaction of like, those people are idiots, libertarians, or somebody's like, oh, you guys are just bigots. What exactly is happening here? How are we as a society going to say that this is so disrespectful to women? Because it basically says women are fictional creatures, that the biological reality they experience is meaningless. If you could say this about a woman, you should actually be able to say it about being black. And that is terribly insulting. It's very, very difficult. This needs to be discussed more, but I promised myself I would keep these videos under 20 minutes. So here we are. If you liked this video, or if you thought this video was valuable and had valid points, please share it with others. I put a lot of thought into things that I say. I try not to shoot off the cuff. So it would be really appreciated if you could share this with other people. Maybe I could get their perspective. Please leave a comment. I try actually respond to comments and engage with comments that are left for me. And please share it. Yeah. Oh yeah, and hit the like button and subscribe. I'm told that if you don't say those things as a YouTuber, you could get arrested. So there it is. Thank you.